Welcome to Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie and I'm here to impart some knowledge to you today via a 2-minute art tip. And today's tip is kind of like an old school thing. This has been around for a while. Change the texture of some of your materials, and that is by applying gesso to either drawing paper or existing watercolor paper. This is a great kind of little fun thing that I've done with scrap pieces, like little strange pieces that I have left over and stuff like this. But actually I learned this from Don Getz years ago. This is something that he does on his watercolor paper and then does watercolor on top of a gessoed surface. But this is a great way to kind of change the surface consistency, and the brushwork that you put into it pays big dividends in kind of like a magical kind of artsy feel. Now I use kind of an oversized brush for this, and you're just kind of roughly laying in stuff. You're not all that worried about where it's going and all this kind of stuff. Changing the brush direction and laying in a really nice coverage, a gesso onto your paper, and so you're not really worried about the particulars of the brushwork and stuff like that. Just kind of putting it on there and letting whatever happens happen. Now, so once we got it covered, it is going to take a little while to dry. You're not going to be able to use this right away, and that's fine. Go get a cup of coffee, you know, maybe finish up your sketch, look at some options, stuff like that while it's drying. But I do have a dried piece that I want to show you a little bit about how this looks when you're all ready. So we're going to set that one aside. And I've got one here that's already treated. This is on Kilimanjaro. And I did a gesso treatment on this. And we're actually going to be painting David's hand, Michelangelo's David. So I'll show you here how this surface preparation kind of changes how the color lays in. And so what I'm doing is taking one of my favorite colors, Cheap Joe's Prime. Really good Lightfast acrylic in bronze, and I'm just gonna lay in color, and you'll see that I'm picking up the irregularity of the surface underneath, so it creates a really interesting quality. It looks pretty cool. Now I'm not going to get like too super crazy with any of this, but you can put in your initial layers and you can see how this lays in. Now, because it's me, I'm kind of a tightwad, I will take a more detailed look at this kind of later on. But you can see that it doesn't lay down completely smooth. You're getting some of the surface texture from where you've changed it with the gesso, and it looks really cool. You can do this with watercolor, you can do this with ink, you can do this with a bunch of different media. I likely will lay in some initial layers with, you know, a really fluid application like this of acrylic, and maybe tighten it up with some colored pencil on top of that. You know, I'm not afraid, mix it up a little. But you'll see that you'll get some interesting, almost like patterning that shows up in the surface that is kind of unexpected. These really cool, like, happy accidents that are happening along the way. And so we're just kind of laying in stuff, seeing what happens, and letting whatever happens just kind of do whatever it's going to do. And so having the gesso on there is just a really nice way to let the media do the work for you, and kind of make those kind of really interesting textural irregularities, kind of points of visual interest. So try this if you haven't before. It's a lot of fun, creates really, really beautiful effects, and it's really fascinating. It's a fun way to change up your normal protocol with something new, and we're sure that you will enjoy.